Time next for Media Watch with Emma James. Good evening, Emma.
Hi there.
You're starting with a look at some strong words following the attack on that Saudi oil facility over the weekend. Do people believe that this could be a Pearl Harbor moment, if you will?
It is a phrase that I've seen used quite a lot, not just by the kind of people that you might expect to be trying to scaremonger right now. Donald Trump, of course, has been extremely bullish, as we have come to expect on his Twitter account. But will his words lead to concrete foreign policy? That's what we don't yet know. Now, he described the US as being locked and loaded, basically ready to take action if the Saudis decide that, yes, indeed, it was Iran, as the US suspects, who fired who carried out this attack. It's been greeted with a lot of people very unsettled, but a lot of people disapproving too. This person saying, I thought we were done fighting the wars of other countries because it's expensive. Yet when someone touches a drop of oil, we're locked and loaded in a few hours. This person pointing out America first, of course. Donald Trump's rallying cry means Saudi Arabia dictating US foreign policy. Nice, because he has undoubtedly put the ball in Saudi Arabia's court now. Some people are asking, with the departure, of course, of the National Security Advisor John Bolton, who exactly is advising Donald Trump right now? This piece in Media Matters, written by Matt Gertz, suggests that it could be Fox and Friends, not normally where you get US presidents getting their advice from. But this writer says it shapes this president's world view. And the kind of quotes that we're seeing from presenters on Fox and Friends, things like this: I think this cannot go without retribution. They have provoked us before. What stops it from happening here? We've got to protect the world's oil supply. Now, this writer basically says Tucker Carlson, another Fox News presenter,
the evening presenter,
was among those who helped to talk Donald Trump down from taking action against Iran last time. But if we're seeing this kind of rhetoric from Fox News now, we'll have to wait and see basically whose advice he is listening to, if indeed he's listening to anyone. Saudi Arabia has gone so far as to say, as the weapons came from Iran, and that they weren't fired from Yemen. But it does leave a little bit of wiggle room and a bit of interpretation, really, as to where exactly they were fired from. The Houthi rebels in Yemen still saying that they carried out the attack. A lot of skepticism out there, though. Seth Abramson among them say there's no reason whatsoever to trust either the Saudis or the Trump administration, so it's not clear what the average American citizen can possibly do with this information. Looking at reactions in Iran, it's interesting to see that the Tehran Times isn't actually leading with this story on its website. It did on the front page of its newspaper today, but the website isn't leading on it, almost trying to play it down, you wonder. They do have this article, though, where they talk about the fact that America's claims about the strikes are both hasty and harmful to all. It's interesting to see that very different take on this Iranian news website, Iran front page. They are flagging up the fact that the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps has said that US targets are within their range. So that definitely seems to be upping the rhetoric somewhat. Also upping the rhetoric are the Houthi rebels in Yemen. The Al-Mazriyah channel, it was actually founded by the rebels. They tweeted this today, that the Armed Forces spokesman said, we can assure that we can reach wherever we want, and at the time we determine Saudi must stop its aggression and siege on Yemen. They also posted a video which has been translated by the Middle East Media Research Institute, in which they threaten Israel and say there is more to come. So some very dangerous talk out there, and we're just waiting to see who's actually going to follow through.
Yeah, indeed. A lot of back and forth in that region. Switching gears next, Emma, the British Prime Minister Boris Johnson has been sent back to London, back to the drawing board, and he was booed out of Luxembourg.
Yes, absolutely. Boris Johnson had been hoping to show some evidence of his much touted progress on a Brexit deal when he met with European leaders in Luxembourg today. But it does appear to have all been hot air. Now, he doesn't help himself, because just yesterday he pledged to break free of the EU manacles like the Incredible Hulk, which has prompted an awful lot of mockery online, including from Andy Davey, a cartoonist for the Evening Standard. There you've got him being greeted by Jean-Claude Juncker as he burst through the wall as his alter ego, the Incredible Hulk. Guy Verhofstadt, who is, of course, the European Parliament's man in charge of coordinating Brexit, says even by Trumpian standards, the Hulk comparison is infantile. Is the EU supposed to be scared by this? It's a very good question. But instead of appearing tough on his trip to Luxembourg, where he met with various European leaders, he actually left us with a different kind of enduring image, this one of an empty podium. This is the Luxembourg PM, Xavier Bettel, who was left gesturing to the empty lectern because Boris Johnson did not appear alongside him. Now, the reason for that is that there were some 200 or so protesters gathered nearby who were chanting their protests. Apparently, they were English expats who live there and basically want to stay within the EU. Boris Johnson said it was too noisy, tried to get the press conference relocated inside, which didn't then happen. And of course, it's meant that everybody is now mocking him even more. Incredible sulk, you say, says this person. Boris Johnson can't even turn up at a podium if he isn't getting it all his own way. And this one, if Number 10 can't win an argument about a podium, can it really expect to rip up the withdrawal agreement in a matter of weeks? Last word on this. Nice empty podium you've got there, Boris. Sure would be embarrassing if you'd just spent the last few weeks calling your opposition a spineless chicken, which of course he has with the opposition leader, Jeremy Corbyn.
Indeed. Yes, I remember that tweet with the chicken. Emma, thank you very much for that. Emma James there with Media Watch.